In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Carl Munson here with Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you today? Tudo bem? Como estás? Hope you well. It's another Meetup Wednesday as T-Duck, top producer T-Duck, is telling us on the screen here. And that little symbol by his name there, that thing that looks like it should be on the breast pocket of a science fiction actor, is actually the sign of a YouTube member. Quick shout out to the YouTube members. Thank you very much. Especially those of you who've signed up recently. Mehmet, thank you very much for showing your love. Gary, Mark, My Dog Smells, and of course, T-Duck. Thanks for all your support, T-Duck, in its many forms of the Gumper enterprise. To boldly go where no Gumper has gone before. These are the voyages. Yes. Wasn't that magical? No, I'm not a Trekkie. But I do remember the opening sequence, and it was a little bit. These are the voyages of the Gumper Enterprise. Yes, Captain's log. Then star date the 19th of. Is that what he said? Star date of the 19th of July 2023, and we do have a visual dad joke of that kind. Should we put that on the screen now? Thank you very much, Mr. Holly, who tried an old one on me and thought I wouldn't notice. He has a different one for us now, having been challenged this morning, talking of Star Trek then. And this is it. They're kicking off with a visual dad joke this morning and some great dad jokes. Did you see Matty's face yesterday? Matty was saying, wasn't he? The Dutch think us Germans don't have a sense of humor. Turns out they might have been right. Certainly with the dad jokes we served up to him yesterday, barely broke a smile. Some crackers from T-Duck later on today. Then maybe we'll try those out on Raquel, who joins us at 9. It's time. Oh, and Raquel will be walking through with me, strolling through proudly her online course about starting a business in Portugal. Even if you don't want to start a business in Portugal, I think there will be something in there of interest to you, including the ancient businesses of Portugal, which are fun to learn about. And maybe if you don't want to start a business this side of 9 o'clock, you might after 9 o'clock, a little sideline. Who among the expats, foreigners and immigrants, the Effies, doesn't come to Portugal and think to themselves, hey, that's a business opportunity. So you might be tempted. Anyway, back to that visual dad joke. Modern Star Trek, whatever it's called. It's time, says the lady holding her belly. It's time to deliver this baby. And what is he, a droid? Is he a Vulcan? I don't know, but it's Mark Zuckerberg, isn't it? I do not understand why you would choose to remove the baby's liver. See, deliver this baby. Sounds nasty. To me, but yes, there you go. Thank you very much, James Oli. It's another Meetup Wednesday, of course it is. Bring your swimming cosy maybe today if you're coming along to the meetup. I think I'm going to have a dip this afternoon, and I'm going to answer a question actually that was sent in to me about San Martino de Porto and Salida de Porto, asking me kind of like which is better of the two, and they're not one is better than the other. They are different, and that's not a cop out. And I'm hoping, with a bit of help from top producer T-Duck, to make a little bit of a film. Sat on the beach wall there, the people gaily playing on the beach behind me, the sun in the sky, the gentle lapping of the water on the beach in San Martino de Porto, to answer that question. And we were at Salida de Porto yesterday. We were at SDP yesterday, last evening, had a nice ice cream over there before the evening shift. And we will be in SMDP today. So I'll film that hopefully with T-Duck. SMDP versus SDP. If you know the two, what's your view on that? And we can help out Mike, who asked the question. A few shout outs then this morning. We'll come back to some more a little bit later. We've got the Quem Sabia. We have got the also the profound deep thought of the day. We've got the Learn About Portugal quiz, which of course is the Pergunta do Dia today, about Ben and Jerry's opening up in the Algarve. I know you can get a Ben and Jerry's ice cream in the supermarkets, but they've opened up a concession in the Algarve, or one of the Algarve forums, or would that be fora in the plural? So plenty to come, including Raquel at 9 o'clock. And then we'll have a look at poor data, which doesn't, when I say it like that, poor data sounds like something a shoddy scientist might use. It's poor data, maybe. Poor data, Portugal's data, Portrait of Portugal, the latest edition, 2020. And I'm sure when they produce the 2023 edition, there will be some quite interesting findings with the COVIDian day that repeated itself for 2 years running in the new data. Is that Salbanto, or is that beautiful station in Lisbon? That's a railway station for sure, though, isn't it? As you look through the keyhole on that cover. And we'll have a look at some of that data. And, a bit like starting a business, you might think, data about Portugal. I've just woken up. I don't want to go back to sleep. I think that makes for some very interesting reading if you're new here in Portugal. So let's have a look at that a bit later on. We're keeping the bunting. And Barack quite correctly noticed that it says with Mrs. M. Louisa and special guest. I'm keeping it because I like the bunting. So let's see who's in this morning. Bon dia Alegria Gumpers at 8:05 from the T-Duck. And we'll come back to the deep thought from Bernard Baruch. Excuse me, I ate my apple pie a little bit too fast this morning. Yes, apple pie. The shape up is not going that well, I have to say. I feel better. And I feel a little bit, a bit more in my physique. I feel better for having run around the rounders pitch on Sunday and swimming in the water more regularly. But I can't get that weight moved from around the 87 mark. And I've never tried, to be fair, in my life. I've never been a Weight Watcher. But I do want to tackle the man boobs in the belly. And that is ongoing. Anyone else with me on that? Deagle was in at 8:11. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a dry start, maybe 4 hours in Belfast of dryness, then rain and a high of 17 to 18. Ciao, ciao. We'll watch later. Got a doctor's appointment. So, Deagle, I was inspired because I love it when I receive messages from you. And I also love to see the quizzical look on our North American friends' faces when you've sent us a jingle. Because I love your Belfast accent, and I want to invite you again. If you wouldn't mind, could you send us you and not just you, this Barack in Texas, for example, because I'm sure he's got a cracking accent too. If he's got a Texan accent, wherever you're from, whatever your accent, could you maybe send a little message in saying something like "Hola, bon dia, alegria, Gumpers. This is Deagle from Belfast, for example. How you doing? Have a great day." And then I'll put them on the jingle pad and we'll play them. Would love to hear from you. Very simple. Do I need to put the script on the screen? Hola, bon dia, Gumpers. X here from X. How you doing? Have a great day. That's simple. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but something like that so that we can hear your voices as well as read out your messages on the screen. Like this one. You know what James sounds like. We see him every Monday. Bon dia, Gumpers. But one from the slug would be good too, wouldn't it? Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz gata todos. Okay, tem feito. And James, I think would be, hey, he's got that nice Californian drawl, hasn't he? Hola, bon dia, Gumpers. This is the slug here. How you doing? Have a great day. Doesn't sound quite like John Denver like that, does he? Anyway, Gene also in. Gene, would love to have one from you as well. And Andy Klein, who's also in. Hola a todos. Feliz quarta-feira from Gene. Good morning from Andy. Good morning a todos from Andy. How you doing, Andy? Pete, bon dia, amigos. 2 hours of shoveling biochar this morning. Well, that makes a change from yesterday, doesn't it? Followed by weeding, which Di is still doing, keeping us fit and well worth it for the results later in the year. The results, on the land and in the body, I suspect, isn't it? Shoveling char. Yes, Santa Apollonia. That's what I was reaching for in the darker recesses of my mind's memory. Yes, I love that station entrance. If I just bring it up onto the screen again, it looks like the opening of a Hitchcock movie, doesn't it? You could see Gregory Peck striding through there in a crisp white cotton shirt and a thin tie, with his hair neatly manicured as he steps from the train and sees some sort of nefarious incident occurring, into which he's drawn, as we are the viewer, by Hitchcock's magic. Who doesn't like a bit of Hitchcock magic first thing in the morning? I know I do. Right. Oh, and I like a fartura first thing in the morning. This I captured outside Setterios station. The Carlitos. This is shall I say to Raquel, what would it take from? Yes, let's show this to Raquel later and say this is our case study. My new fartura wagon that's parked up about outside Setterios. Strangely, it was shut at rush hour. That doesn't look like the best approach to business, does it? What's this here? Oh, that's the visual dad joke. So I thought we've already done that. Okay. And what did I put on before we started? Just in case you weren't here then. Life is what you make it. How about that? Take it. That could be Portugal, could it not? I don't think it is, though, looking at that writing on the screen. Is that? It is Portugal. Quite possibly there. Not Santa Apollonia Station. I better take that off the screen because that's a bit misleading, isn't it? Life is what you make it. You can take a drab. Although I don't mind that house in the top picture. I do like a little Portuguese tiny home like that. But look what they've done to it. They've turned the street into like a mosaic with a piano keyboard pavement as well. Very jolly on the eye there. And how's everyone else's morning been? That is Pete signaling there that he's been up since about 3 this morning at sunrise in Castelo Branco, when it was already 30 degrees, no doubt, as well. So stay cool over there, Pete. What are you doing? Hydrating plenty, I'm sure, and getting your work done early, as you have to do. And then taking it easy. Do you have a little snooze and a kip and look at all you survey from underneath the brow of your hat, keeping you in the shade there? Sounds wonderful. And all the best with the biochar and weeding today. So then let's have a look at the deep thought of the day. Where are we being and by whom are we being taken into the pondering of the depth of life this morning? Be who you are and say what you feel, as long as it's respectful and legal here, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Bernard Baruch, Bernard Baruch was an American financier and statesman who amassed a fortune on the New York Stock Exchange. I imagine probably quite a bold character, sporting some of those braces. Bernard Baruch here. Bernard Manish Baruch to you, son. American financier and statesman who amassed a fortune on the New York Stock Exchange. I imagine a larger-than-life character who tells us this morning, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Has anyone here found that to be true? I think we're a fairly bold bunch here, aren't we? Having got to a certain age and a set of realizations in life. Where would you put yourself on the not giving a hit barometer? The not caring-ometer? Would you say you're more than 50% in being like Bernard suggests here? You don't care really. Well, most people do care, don't they? I've always found that the people who say things like, I don't care what other people think, you can tell they actually do. And in many ways, that's why they're so bold in their assertions. They care enough to know what sort of reaction they're going to get, knowing that they probably will get a reaction. So I think most people care. It's only human, isn't it, to have a little bit of even all those people being classified as narcissists and psychopaths now. They have a certain kind of care and interest in how people react, don't they? With the games that we all play, whenever we pick up that archetype or clinical condition, more accurately. But where would you say you are at your stage of life? Are you 70% not caring about what other people think, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind? 80%, 90%, or about a 50%? A bit of balance. The Quem Sabia today, the enchanted Mura, or the Amura and Kentada. Is this a siren we're talking about? Is a supernatural being from the fairy tales of Portuguese folklore. Loving the sound of this Quem Sabia today. These are all banked, of course, at learnaboutportugal.com. Very beautiful and seductive. She lives under an imposed occult spell. And here she is on the screen here. Certainly one representation anyway. Where are we looking here, I wonder? Does anyone recognize? Oh, that's in the Algarve. Casa Casa do Pasto in the Algarve. Origor da Cozinha Regional, some Algarvian grub there, while you look at this enchanted Mura, or the Mura Encantada. Encantada, forgive me. Let's find out a bit more about this enchanting being. She often appears singing with a golden comb on her long, beautiful hair. It is the no, I don't eat hair. That sounded a bit Joe Biden, didn't it? It is the color of gold or black, or as he fell asleep yesterday, didn't he? He's talking to the president of Israel, and he just falls asleep. Now, I've got some sympathy, I've got to say, with Joe Biden, because I've got a little secret to share. I did fall asleep on the trip out onto the water on Monday afternoon. Did I mention that I went out onto? Yes, I know I did. Now, Joe Biden fell asleep, and I felt a bit sorry because I did the same thing on Monday afternoon. And my host said to me, "Would you like to have a little nap?" He was so polite about it, which I suppose the president of Israel couldn't do, could they? President of Israel is looking at Joe. He's like he's midway through a sentence, isn't he? Talking about rah, 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 rah. And the president of Israel is looking across, going, "Well, what do I do? The world's cameras are trained on me. I can't suggest he has a little nap and then comes back later when he feels like finishing his sentence." But I had some sympathy, is what I'm saying. It can happen to anybody. Try as I might, you know that when you get to that point where you just cannot keep your eyes open. That happened to me, and I fear as well that my colleagues sat around me saw this, and again they were so polite. They didn't mention it. They might have been laughing and pointing at me while I was asleep, but I knew nothing about it. Anyway, so I understand from that point of view with Joe, but I do expect a little bit more from the leader of the free world. Anyway, I wasn't leading the free world on Monday afternoon. Not yet anyway. She promises this week back to, oh, that was quite a distraction, wasn't it? I think I need to rewind a little bit, don't I, to the first part. Let's rewind. Quem sabia, the enchanted Mura, or Mura Encantada, is a supernatural being from the fairy tales of Portuguese folklore. Very beautiful and seductive, she lives under an imposed occult spell. She often appears singing with a golden comb on her long, beautiful hair. It is the color of gold, or black as night, depending on which version of the story you hear, I guess. She promises to give treasures to whomever sets her free by breaking her spell. According to ancient law, the Murush are the souls of young maidens who are left guarding the treasures that the males, the Murush Encantados, hid before heading to Murama. Oh my word! I wonder if Philomena has a Trips for Brits tour. Bit dangerous, isn't it? Popping off to Murama. According to the ancient law, then, they are guarding that treasure. And there's another depiction. And if I take that off the screen for just a moment, you'll be able to see a little bit more of a Mura Encantada there. The fairy tales are thought to be of pre-Roman Celtic origin. They are related to other Indo-European female... yes, a glistening bint in the water. Is that what they said with Monty Python? A glistening bint in the water. European female divinities of the water. Almost every Portuguese town has a tale of Amura and Kentada. Love this one. Thank you very much. And of course, yeah, I think the idea of going to the water and looking in is the old version of the internet, isn't it? It's what people used to do. You'd look into the fire or look into the water before the internet came along and imagine all sorts of things like we do with the internet now. Isn't that right? Isn't that what we do? And, you know, you'd have a gentleman looking into the water, or somebody about to prove themselves a gentleman or otherwise, and then seeing one of these female faces in the water, or vice versa, and being lured to an untimely death, or being given a sword, or something like that. But the water and the flames, the elements, were the internet, weren't they? They're the first internet where we would look in and have the secrets and the archetypes revealed to us, and educate and develop as people. How about that? Those dad jokes are top draw today. We'll come back to those later, perhaps in the company of Raquel. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers. Then that was Deagle. Anyone sent their recording yet? Can't get on. It says I can't enter the studio. Who's that? Is that a different number that Raquel is on? Or that might be a guest I've forgotten to... I've forgotten who was on this morning, but whoever you are, I'm sending you the link now. to join us. Hope that's okay. And then since I've changed phones and my lad deleted WhatsApp, sometimes I can't see who it is anymore. I can only see the number. So let's try that and see if that's working there for Raquel, who's joining us in about 10 minutes time. The Iberian FM phone in. Anyone remember that? Anyone old enough to remember that here? Smash that like button, says T-Duck. And I think they're not caring about what others think is generally an afterthought. And that is built into our DNA for survival. Yeah, I think so. One of the true joys of living in this part of Portugal is that no one cares what you look like. Well, so you think, Pete. I've seen you mentioned in the gossip columns of Fundao, actually. No, only kidding. I'm sure that's not true in Cascais or the Algarve, but it is a joy here. Isn't that great when people are focused on more important things in life, arguably? And Jess is here as well. Hola, Jess, how are you? And a bon dia todos from our dear mate Jim, whose book, I'm looking at the books. I've got a number of books from Gumpers, and they are in our Gumper bookstore over at learnaboutportugal.com, where we're going to be looking at that starting a business in Portugal course with Raquel, if she can join us. It says I can't enter the studio. That is grim, isn't it? Imagine encountering that as a guest on the Good Morning Portugal show. All right, let's have a look then at that quiz question of the day. Hello, yes, we've got. I think that should work now. If you're tuned in, the pink hand is waving. Hopefully, waving, not drowning, and not being able to get into the show this morning. Raquel, we've got plenty of time, so don't worry. I'm sure we'll get you in one way or another. The worst case scenario is to phone in to the show, but I think with that link I've just sent you, you should be fine there. So give that a go and see how you get on. Let's take a look then at the Pergunta do Dia, the Learn About Portugal quiz question of yesterday and today's and yesterday's, so that we can answer that. Where was I a couple of days ago? Actually, and we've got some really nice posts I want to show you as well that have been submitted. And this is what you can do if you join us at learnaboutportugal.com. So let's first have let's go there first, because these are wonderful. From they refer. Let me have a quick sip of water. Bear with me just a moment. Oh, dead air. Isn't it awful when that happens? Although we can take more of that than most shows, I think, as Gumpers who know that, life is, there's more important things to life than what you look like and how much dead air there is on a radio show. Such things do not matter in the great scheme of things. Right, all right. Here we go. Learnaboutportugal.com. Before we go to the Pergunta do Dia, let's have a look at these two lovely posts from Wayne. And we've got the Festas de Livramento. This is in the, where's he live? What's it called? He's not far from here. Going inland a bit. It's got a castle, but that doesn't really narrow things down too much. It will come to me in a little while. But probably same sort of latitude as Nazaré and across. Oh my goodness, I need to open up GMAP so I can tell you that, but I'm sure I'll remember at some random time later on today. I want one of those caps. Traditional dress there. Big stick, nice big stick. And look at this. Isn't that lovely? She knows how to keep cool with the dark coloured garb and the headscarf there. And a lovely trio here. The big skirts, counterintuitive, isn't it? You'd think they might be hot, but I'm guessing, not that I've ever worn a long skirt in Portugal. People might wonder what, people do care what you look like. I think I think they might care what I look like wearing many layers of skirts around the countryside. A modern backdrop of modern motor vehicles, and then in our foreground there, a gentleman in a wonderful three-piece suit in a terracotta. Would you describe that? Or a russet? And some lovely long skirts there. Many layers, I suspect, and headwear as well to keep the sun off the bonds. Very good. Loving those. Thank you very much indeed, Wayne, a.k.a. Ronnie Barker. And also, because Louisa was talking about cork on the King Sabia on Monday, cork cladding being applied to our new build in our village. So that's where he is, in the Serra de Er e Candeiros Nature Park. And the nearest town, I can't bring it to mind. We have found an American-Portuguese architect who has a construction company specializing in wood. And I love the shape of your house. It's like a horseshoe, isn't it? So you'll have this enclosed area where you've brilliantly incorporated the granite rock into the landscape. Well, it was already in the landscape, but you've put your house on that landscape very beautifully, I might say, with cork cladding as well. So you've got the granite and the cork, two fantastic Portuguese textures there. Isn't that superb? Love that. Your house is coming along beautifully there. That looks wonderful. So may you have many years of happiness in that cork-clad home. So let's go to the question. Oh, look, we're live on the Good Morning Portugal show. The red button says so. And was it Qashqai? No, we did Simply Red, didn't we? Where's that question gone then? Oh, yeah, Tuesday, the 18th of July is what it was yesterday. So my beautiful day out on the water, sailing past the 25 de Abril Bridge, past Belém, onto Cascais, and you can see me pictured there. And there is a windswept and sun-parched relic, not me. What is the prominent and important part of Portugal's history that can be seen in the distance here? Was it Alcantara? Alcantara, you see, that's a place in Lisbon. Alcatraz. See what I did there? Was it the Cascais Tias Club? Or was it the Fort of San Lorenzo de Bugio? It was indeed the Fort of San Lorenzo de Bugio. So give yourself a pat on the back if you came up with the right answer there. And there is, it looks like a ship, doesn't it, at first glance? But that is the welcoming island that figures in Portugal's history. Certainly, I think, chronicled back 500 years and thought to be at times a political prisoner establishment as well. Or certainly the threat of that was in the air. As a bit of an urban legend in the dictatorship times. So there you go. That resolves Tuesday the 18th. And let's go to today's quiz question. Then learn about Portugal quiz for today, Wednesday, the 19th of July, 2023. Ben & Jerry's have reopened in Portugal's Algarve. Their first attempt was in Lisbon, incidentally, between 2006 and 2011. I wonder why they shut down. Maybe they didn't weather the 2008 storm too well, a financial crisis. Testing your Portuguese vocabulary and grasp of the culture. Do you know their most popular flavour from this unofficial top 10? Is it traditional flavours then here in Portugal? Bacalhau, pastel de nata, comida de peja, tosta mista, meio assado, arroz doce, macaco robusto, azeite perfeito, meia de leite, or café constipado? So that's the question for today. The Pergunta do Dia. Ben & Jerry's opens first store in Portugal since 2011, and it's in the Algarve there. Look at that beautiful sky. Thank you, Portugal News, for telling us about that. So let's see. Raquel did find her way in. I'm sure it was something that I did wrong, so forgive me for causing you any stress, Raquel. We'll see you in just a moment. Let's just say hello to Coach Turner. Bon dia todos. Been running around after children this morning, so a little distracted, but that little bit fitter. 2 big wildfires within an hour. Wow, in Hertfordshire. No, you're talking about Greece there, aren't you? All clear today, though. Well, what a worry for you. I wonder if they've got the equivalent of Fogos.pt in Greece there, so you can keep an eye on what's going on. Stay safe, the Turner tribe over there. Squire of the Shire is also in. We're still waiting for the summer in the UK. Nothing but endless clouds and rain. Oh, sorry to hear that, Squire of the Shires. Sunshine, says Squire of the Shires. That would be nice. And God Squad tip of the day then from Coach Turner, who we'll see on Friday. The lads will be in the studio. Bobby O'Reilly. We'll have Coach Turner. I wonder, are you joining us from Greece? And Phil, we'll find out how far Phil has got into his journey of 1 million baby steps. He's walking for Charity Maid for Diabetes UK, and he's doing 1 million steps. We'll see how he's getting on Friday, on Feel Good Friday. Lesson from yesterday: stay out of the sun if drinking, less than sensibly. Oh, a little bit dehydrated, are we? Andrew Gilchrist is in. Everyone, he says, bon dia todos. That's a man cave way of saying bon dia todos. And morning, Squire, is his greeting to you, Squire of the Shires. Don't forget, folks, we'd love you to record on your WhatsApp messaging system and send it to 913-590-303 in your own voice. Hola, bon dia. This is, so for example, Lord Gilchrist would say, hola, bon dia. Order. Lord Gilchrist here. Raquel's looking at me now. I've got her attention. What on earth is Munson doing? Order. Lord Gilchrist here. All rise. Bon dia, alegria. How are you gumpers doing? Well, I hope. Farewell, dear friends. That sort of thing. So there he is. Order. Yes, so please, 913-590-303. Send those in, and we'll put them on our jingle panel so that you can hear the many voices of Gumperdom. The Many Voices of Gumperdom, which is also our album that will be coming out Christmas time. Okay, let's give her a nice big round of applause and bring her to the screen. Woohoo! She is. Sorry, Raquel, did I cause you some stress this morning? Oh, you're causing me stress now. I need you unmuted.
Sorry. See? That's revenge.
The karma,
No, but
the karma has been balanced now.
But no, not at all. I didn't enter because I had like two little creatures screaming, so it wasn't a good moment to get backstage. Anyway, I mean, you'd like to know there's some staging that we need to do, like for instance, like pretend that I have a normal life and everything. So it was just a reality in the way.
Raquel, we don't believe that for one moment. A normal life, what is that? There's not many people here with a normal life.
Exactly.
Yes, the new normal life, perhaps. I don't know. Your kitchen's looking fantastic, well and truly established now in the new kitchen. Looks like you've having some happy family life in there. Kids,
Yeah.
Have the kids written on the walls yet?
They've tried to. They did. It actually it comes off really well in the kitchen. So. But the issue is when they continue to the doors and stuff where the pen is not the same and it doesn't come off as easily.
Oh. Haven't IKEA got special pens that you know are actually designed for that purpose? I suppose. Yeah, it's the kid always chooses the pen that doesn't come off, don't they? They find the Sharpie. They find the Sharpie for their graffiti.
So no, I mean they're off limits now for the younger one. So
okay, well we'll see about that.
Yeah, exactly. For the time being, I mean, few hours anyway. But
for a few hours more, you'll have these nice white walls there. So how have you been? I'm guessing in the business of helping people start in business, you're keeping nice and busy.
Yeah, thank God, it's been going really well. Continue to work, continue to give a lot of consultations, so that's great. I think I've finally found my calling, to be honest, so it's great. And I know that I can solve a lot of problems and I can make life easier for a lot of people, and that's really important to me. I feel that I'm making a difference. Again, that's very important to me. So to find that people find easiness where there was like this big monster of insecurity, it's a great feeling. Yeah.
Well, thank goodness you're doing that. Couple of things. The first is you said thank God, and I was wondering who is the patron saint of businesses. We need to find out, don't we? Sant Antonio, he's lost things, isn't he, in small children? But I'm guessing that there might be a saint of enterprise, mightn't there? That somebody
probably I know I mean, I'm not a religious person, so forget it, but I'm probably the least the worst person for you to ask me that, because I'm really not religious at all, so I really don't know anything about that, but we'll find that out. I'm a very strong believer in manifestation and the will of of the soul. I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a religious one. So I really think that the universe is always works in your favor if you give out the good, of course. And so I've always found that to be true in my own life. And so I think that when it comes to business, what you need is a lot of resilience. So you just if you need religion to hold on to, so go ahead, sure, that's fine, whatever you need to. But people often need, some outside help, some comfort in something outside of ourselves. So, whatever.
Good point. Mrs. M's just rushed in. The Saint Homobonos, the Italian Saint Omobono, which sounds like Aponopono, doesn't it? I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you, etc., etc. German Saint Gutmann, and anyway, there are various equivalents. The patron saint of business people is Homobonos, and of course, whichever set of values you live by, whether it be the universal power. I think the point here being that reaching out beyond yourself is quite a good idea, and not taking on all of those troubles personally. So whichever deity you reach out to, reach out to them, because you don't do it alone in business, do you? Despite,
Exactly.
thank you very much, Mrs. M. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, whilst the sort of stereotype of the rugged business person exists, people don't do it alone, do they? You have to have a team and support and all sorts of things going on.
Team support and the right people behind you, because what I found is that even sometimes when you do have professionals on your side, you really have to be mindful. And, in the end of the day, it's a little bit like you have to sort of understand everything. You don't have to know about everything, but you should understand the basics about each function, because if you go into a business and you don't know the first thing about accountancy or contracts or what's the separate, that fact that you have a bank account for the company is a separate thing from your personal account, you're walking into trouble. So surround yourself with good professionals. I keep saying this, but also realize that you have to know a little bit about everything. You don't have to know everything, but you do have to have the ability to assess whether all of those professionals are doing a good job or not. So that's what I've encountered lately, is that sometimes you even have, an accountancy company or lawyers or whatever, but you can be unlucky and not find the best professionals. And in the end, you have the team there, but they're not doing a great service, and they're actually maybe costing you a lot of money and time and hassles and all of that. So find the good professionals, but people that are referred to you, people that other people have worked with and have a good experience with. And further along in your business, if you really try to understand how things work, then you'll be able to spot things, and you'll be able to then have a sense of who is better, and check out the better professionals and get closer to them. It's like in everything in life. I remember in my professional life, whenever I started something that I didn't really know about before, everything seemed fine. And if I didn't see anything wrong with it, I knew that I didn't know enough to spot the mistakes.
That's brilliant.
Yes. Everything sounded fine. I mean, no, that's fine. Okay, that's a sure sign that I'm really, I'm at a very basic level of knowledge with that subject. So if everything seems really nice and you don't have any questions and everything seems okay, well, start questioning yourself. And always, research, do training, evolve in the mind of a business owner. Know more about the business, know more about having a company, and invest in yourself in the end.
That is such a good definition of resilience. So whether somebody is in business or just life skills for living life, that is such a brilliant thing you've said there, which is, if all is going well, as it were, there's maybe something you haven't thought about yet.
That's my experience,
And actually developing, if we could wish this for our kids, couldn't we? That, to realistically, there will be challenges in life. If you haven't got any challenges at all, there probably is, there's probably something not quite right. And being able to live life such that you can accept those challenges and deal with them as part of everyday life would be the absolute definition, wouldn't it, of like raising your kids to be resilient and realistic about life.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you have to give them the tools, right? To manage themselves, to manage their own emotions, and just to not consider any setback as, a drama, or no, not at all. These are not setbacks. These are boosts. These are ways of learning. These are opportunities to redo, to do better, to understand more. Because again, when you do something and it's very easy, you don't necessarily learn that much from the experience. So it's when you really dig into it and you really have difficulties and you're forced to understand the depths of anything, that's when you learn. It's not when everything's a breeze. And you have to give them the freedom. I mean, my oldest is went yesterday to do the Interrail. You know what that is? You know, there's like a train ticket that goes
Yeah,
all
go
over
all over
Europe.
Europe. Yeah, yeah.
So she's now in Amsterdam, and she had amygdalitis yesterday, and we had to go to Koof, and she had a shot of penicillin. And here is a 19-year-old, so she's pretty big, and she's going off to this adventure for 2 weeks. And suddenly, she was so stressed that she was a little girl in my lap all over again.
Oh, bless
Because
you
she was
both.
nervous, and I was like, oh my God, you know, they always need you. They may need you in different ways. The support may be different, but you know, they're still my daughters. They still need my support in different ways. I helped her with the suit, with with packing, and just all the way to the airport. I was talking to her, saying, you know, enjoy. I know you're nervous, but it's going to be really fun. You're going to have a kick-ass experience out of this. You're going to learn a lot. And the first thing that she's learned is that everything costs a lot of money. When it's your own money, everything costs a lot more.
Is that because she phoned you last night to say she'd run out of money already?
No, not yet, because this is the first day. But she was like, we went to Burger King. It's like twice as much as in Portugal. I'm like, see, well, I told you. Now it's different, right?
Well,
So
she'll be
you have
glad
to
to
give
be
them
home as
tools.
well. Yeah, she'll be glad to be home. That's another bonus, isn't it? Yeah. So these, and that, no wonder you're so good in business. Mums with all those transferable skills. It's a breeze in business. Okay. And the other thing, yeah, as well as the patron saint of business, which we found out this morning was homogenous. And Doug as well. Douglas knew an Eric Bonner. Is that a play on words that I'm not understanding there, or is that a true story? He knew Eric Bonner, presumably Bonner, not Boner. Patron saint of nothing much there. Hello, Mrs. M from Jim. Lovely to see you here this morning, Jim. And as Douglas Adams accurately describes, Portugal, time is an illusion, lunchtime doubly so. What he's getting at there, we're getting some love and greetings for you this morning. Raquel, congratulations to you, says Jim. How nice that you found your calling. And can I ask, says Pete, why Raquel has 2 clocks, neither of which tell the right time behind you? Is it a Portuguese time thing?
It's not only this is a painting, but it's another clock. It's like the central station.
You've got
clock.
3 clocks. You've got 3 clocks.
And I have more. Let me see.
Do any of them have the right time? Is the key question.
No, they're stopped perfectly.
Oh, well,
they're on purpose. Stop. Oh, sorry. These are not very, very.
It's the kids again, isn't it?
Very put together.
That was probably the 19-year-old who left their glass on the shelf.
Or you know, one of the other human beings that keeps coming around. I don't know. I have them because I have a very profound sense of time going by and clocks ticking, and I hate to hear the ticking of the clocks, because it reminds me, it gives me like anxiety to know that, you know, time is passing, and it's it's all going so fast. So it's on purpose that they're stopped. I mean, twice a day they are correct, right? But it's on purpose. I like to have them stop because I like to. It's like a lesson. It's like something to remind me to enjoy time as it is right now, and not be worried about, you know, it's going on too fast, or it's a reminder that time is there, but in the sense that it doesn't create anxiety or stress me out to say, you know, it's going by, it's flying away. So it's like my control of the time, if you want to.
I love that. That is fantastic. Yeah. So if anybody's got a broken clock and they're thinking, oh, this is such a waste to chuck it in the dumpster, send it to Raquel, and that will help her with her sense of time there. Yeah. That's brilliant. Other people might pick up on that. So I'm glad you asked, Pete. With that, that's superb. With the kids, don't worry too much, Raquel. The kids will be independent soon, somewhere around 40 to 50.
Hey,
he's speaking from experience as a child himself, I think. Now, hola, bon dia from Capricorn.
Bye.
Chris, how was the train today? Chris, you're very welcome to cut and paste your fantastic Facebook posts about traveling on British public transport. Let us know how you're getting on this morning. And say hi to everyone on the train from us in Portugal. That'll go down well. Hi, Raquel. Always a pleasure to see you on screen, says Lord Gilchrist. And yeah, as you said there, Raquel, both clocks have the right time twice each day. As the mathematicians among us will probably have figured out how many clocks you need to have in the room to have the right time constantly, just maybe a minute apart. What will that be? That'll be 24 times 60. But you only need them for the waking hours, don't you? Good morning, Portugal. Good morning, Carl. Morning, Raquel. Morning, everyone. I am being annoyingly energetic for this early. I am sure. No, you're fine. You're among the gumpers, many of whom have been up for hours, Michael Heron. Just because you're normally snoozing at this time doesn't. Solar, Eusebia's choice of bar and Lee's preferences. I think we're talking about Noel Coward again and the choice of bar from the Lord Gilchrist there. Steve Miliband, time keeps on ticking, ticking. That's such a cosmic track, isn't it? And Michael Heron, lovely to see you, says Pete. There's a lot of shouting going on. Andrew, Michael, Sarah Yerman's with us as well. So let's have a look at this course then that you so beautifully shared with us. You can see it there among our wonderful collection of courses and collections of information. Start a business in Portugal. Let's click on that. Go to learnaboutportugal.com. And of course, we start with a disclaimer because ultimately it is down to the business owner, isn't it? And that's is that possibly the first lesson in business, Raquel? It all comes back to you in the end, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. And well, it is. I think these courses are really great to, anyone that doesn't have the confidence right away to establish their own business immediately. And there's my husband there. And it will give you a sense of the rules, of the requirements, of what you need to prepare for. Hi, Carl. And it will give you like a sound basis to prepare yourself to enter in this new venture. So I think it's a good set of basic rules, just so you don't get caught like unprepared to anything. You will know the basis. If you will talk to anyone that will help you incorporate your business, you will know what you're talking about. You're not caught unprepared or unsure. So it's good. It's very good to know what you're talking about, even if you ask for help, because then you're asking the right questions. You know that when you get what you get, you know that that's what you asked for, that's specifically what you wanted, and not just because it was what someone else thought would be nice. Okay. Yep. So it's very important to know the basics.
It is. And yes, ultimately, you will be responsible. I mean, the law is pretty much the same around the world. There are ways of minimizing your liability. But if you start an enterprise, it is yours and you'll be responsible for it. And that is especially so, I think it's fair to say, here in Portugal. It will come down to you. So we make that clear with our welcome and disclaimer here. If I drop down a few of these menus, you can see the brilliant work that Raquel has shared with us here, the different types of business formations, and getting going ultimately as well. It's a fantastic course. Of particular interest, I think, this morning might be some of these lovely historic businesses.
Yeah.
There you are with hubby there. And of course, Raquel joins us every month here in a monthly residency. That was a recent performance. And we've already got a testimonial for you from Carl H, as you saw on the screen just now. Bon dia, everyone, from Carl. Big thank you to Raquel for all her help yesterday regarding taking on new employees. She really knows her stuff. So we might want to cut and paste that screenshot into the book as well. And yeah, that was the other thing I meant to say. I said two things, didn't I? And I think I only talk about one of them, which was the patron saints. The other is that, me and Mrs. M will be ringing you as well, because I think we need to talk through, we've got two kind of sole proprietor businesses, but we'd like to talk to you about us starting a family business, an umbrella for both of our businesses, which may or may not be advantageous, but we'll find that out by talking to you, of course. And there may be other benefits in doing that. What's this? Michael Heron saying, did someone leave an empty box of croissants in the fridge again? Oh, yes. Is he? You're listening to the earlier part of the show, I think. And to Carl, Really looking forward to your barbecue and copping a gander at your beautiful gas and meeting the trouble and strife and business. Cockney rhyming slang there, very good. Have you perfected your? Is Capricorn Chris doing a bit of athletics at home, perfecting a crab? And can we see pictures of you in your Adidas with fancy Clark shoes? Oh, he's got his fancy Clark shoes on going to work. He's got his work shoes on. Pictures and words from the public transport of Britain, please. Back to this wonderful course then. You've got the introduction and how you join us. And thankfully, you join us every month there, Raquel. Historic businesses. This is fantastic because Portugal has a rich history, doesn't it? And I love. We've talked about this before, and I've talked to other people about it. This how Portugal goes about starting businesses, and they are something to serve the family and community more than they are something to serve the individual, which is again going back to that rugged American stereotype of the entrepreneur. A little bit different here. Right, especially these old businesses. What would you say about that?
Well, I would say it is ingrained in Portugal mentality still. It's not, and Portugal has a great. So those.
Oh, what happened there then? Oh, you're back again now. Sorry.
So Portugal has a great history with unicorns, so that those fast-growing startups. I said farts.
those farting unicorns. That's
rainbows, right? But sorry, you were drinking.
On a good day, that could have gone very badly there.
But it's the foundation, the usual culture of Portugal entrepreneurship is in fact building a solid and stable business for the family, for the community, for everything. So the businesses tend to go along for long periods of time, for years. And anything under a few years is considered, a bad experience, and people get like shameful for not having a successful business. That's really the way they feel. Oh yeah. So it's not something for opening and shut. It's something for continue along generations. So these are just a few examples. One of my favorite ones, because having a CTD is the mail postal service. So, but imagine that it was created in 1520. 500 years ago. What is that? That's insane. It was, a completely different world, reality, everything. And in 1782, Martin da Arcada. I really invite everyone to just stroll around downtown Lisbon. I worked there for a few years, so I did this a lot of times. Just stroll around the streets there, and if you can imagine sitting down in some of those chairs in those cafes that 300 years ago were exactly the same.
Yeah.
This is it's almost like an experience, it's incredible to realize that 300 years ago or 200 years ago, people were sitting down there on the same spot where you're at right now, having their cafe or having their cake or whatever, or eating their lunch, and famous writers were clients of those shops. So there's a collection of historical shops under a sign that's Lojas com História, and you'll find the most beautiful shops, ancient shops. Like there's one also that I remember in Rua do Ouro, with cards and pens and papelaria. I don't know how you say that in English. Like a shop that sells cards and pens
and cigarettes and magazines, a station.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, such a beautiful thing, because you see that the window is the same as it was 200 years ago, So it's lovely. It's a lovely experience to stroll around, and there's even a map with all of the Lojas com História.
Yeah.
Go there and just stroll around and discover all of these different shops. It's a great experience.
It really is superb. And just going back to those, as you were mentioning there, you know, the CTT, and no one, please do not say the joke that some of the letters sent in 1520 still haven't been delivered. You know, they're dealing with a lot of volume of post there. Martinho de Arcada, that's certainly somewhere where you can sit and imagine centuries of history. Go up to Aveiro or Ilhavo, I think is more accurately, where the Vista Alegre porcelain dates back to 1824. The Confeitaria, Jackie's joining us in a few minutes' time. I think she would particularly like this business. That dates back to 1829. So that's the background, isn't it, of Portuguese business? Yeah. You can't guarantee that anyone's business is going to last for a few centuries necessarily, Raquel, but you can give them the best possible start with the information that we've got here, right?
Yeah, it's important to know exactly where you want to go, how you want to set up, like, for instance, what type of company. It's good to know the documents that you may need so you don't get caught off guard. You know what you're doing. You know, like, for instance, share capital or the commercial code. It's very good to understand. I'll give you an example. You have to choose a commercial code of activity, right? So the social purpose of that company has to be a specific one. You have to either sell clocks or, you know, have a consultancy business or agriculture or whatever. But within a broader spectrum of social purpose for that company, there are specific commercial codes that have to be defined once you create the company. You can change them later, you can add them on. But it is important to have a very fixed idea on what you want to do. And mind you, a company can have, you know, almost not conflicting activities for sure, but you can have very different activities within one company. You don't have to have one company for a consultancy and then another for gardening. You can have a company with those two commercial codes and activities, and that's fine. There are not, you can have very different activities within one company. This, I think, is a good point. I don't think I mentioned this before, and it is important because maybe people oftentimes have different ideas or want to do different things, and they think that they have to create different companies for this. No, you can create just one company, and within the social purpose, you choose every activity that you think you are going to want to have, okay?
Yeah.
And they can be very diverse.
They're not trying to stop you operating on a number of levels. I think that's a misconception and something worth talking about is knowing how to do things the right way. So immediately you might think, oh, this is prohibitive and they don't want me to do this. It's probably you just don't know the right way to do it. Or
exactly.
It's not the way you're used to. And that's why you need this kind of help. So, Raquel, this is superb. Are you all right to stick around for a few minutes to meet Jackie, who's going to join us?
For sure.
Brilliant. All right. So I put the rather long link to the business course for anybody who wants to get involved. You can find it there, or more simply, learnaboutportugal.com. And even if you're not starting a business, you can certainly just, have a little look at those historic businesses that are mentioned there, and even do the tour around Lisbon, because that's the other thing, isn't it? Looking at those historic businesses is actually an official little tour, and there's a plaque that those businesses get to show you that they've been in business for a long time. So good luck to you. If you have a business idea and you want some kind of Dragon's Den or Cockerel's Coop input on that, stick it. And you might not want to give your IP away straight away, but if you want a little bit of customer feedback, a bit of market research, pop it in the chat now, or even jump on the screen and tell us about it. Or you can reach out to Raquel and talk to her about it as well, because I'm sure that comes into it as well, doesn't it, Raquel? Actually talking to people about their ideas and being a listening ear, a sounding board for people.
For sure. I mean, test it out. If you want me to just test the idea, see what needs to be done, or the requirements or whatever, maybe they're licensing. A lot of businesses require specific licensing, so it's always nice, we can do a consultation and we'll just talk it out and I'll just, tell you the little bit about what will be needed, and you'll be able to decide on whatever is best for you, for sure.
Excellent. And if you have a Zoom call with Raquel, ignore the clocks. That won't, because sometimes people use a clock, don't they, on the other person's Zoom call and go, "Oh my God, is it really that time? I'm supposed to be on another call. Hold on a minute. You've got 3 clocks and they're all saying the wrong time." Ignore the clocks. We know why why there are so many and why there are different times. So that's fantastic. Let's give Jackie a nice big round of applause now. Who's going to join us on the screen? Great to see you, Jackie. Good morning to you. Oh, we need you to unmute as well.
Unmute.
There you go.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Good. I'm here to talk about animals this morning.
You are, aren't you? Now, Raquel, please stay for this because this is a fantastic idea. Raquel, Jackie, Raquel. This is what we're on with. This is a very striking business idea, isn't it? Take the stress out of pet travel. Consider a private charter. Jackie, is this just for pampered pooches, or is this for anybody who might want to be flying their beloved furry family member from the United States, for example, over to Portugal?
I think, well, if it's in your budget, it's a great idea. If you think about right now, I have 2 flat-faced dogs. I have French bulldogs. And when I tried to fly them on tap, they're over 17 pounds. At 28 pounds, and they can't go in the cargo because they're flat-faced. In fact, the Netherlands now won't even allow you to breed like pugs, French bulldogs, because those dogs inherently have breathing issues.
Right.
So we have now a whole class of dogs that can't really fly, and that creates all kinds of issues. You can't send them, a normal pet transport where they are in crates and they stop in Germany from California, and then from Germany they're brought to Portugal. And that's also, there's a lot of problems with that as well. But one of the things, as a person who normally flies, I call it cattle car in the plane, the cheapest flights.
Oh, yeah.
Very back by the bathroom. That's generally how I
turn right at the top of the stairs.
I always have the worst seat in any, by kicking and screaming, and everyone's okay. But what I thought was amazing about this was that you're kind of chartering a flight with other pet owners. So you have the ability to, it looks so great. I have to tell you, me and Astrid are like, oh my gosh, this looks great. They have water for your dogs. You're sitting in a beautiful, comfortable seat, being served champagne. You get to pet your dog, hold your dog, meet the other pet owners. It just seems so lovely. And if you're going to do it once, bring your dog from the US or wherever, UK to Portugal. Why not? It's a one-time trip. And we're
talking to the owner, aren't we? We're talking to the person who organizes this tomorrow night at 7:30.
Yeah. And I just think it just seems it made so much sense in terms of the safety of your animal, especially the larger animal, an older animal, a flat-faced animal. Yeah. And you're only bringing them to the country one time. I think it makes sense, that expenditure. But I'm a dog lover.
Well, I've got quite a flat face, people tell me. Am I going to be kept off airplanes quite anytime soon?
No, but I never, ever thought about that, Carl. I never, ever.
I'm going to have to start chartering my own flights if my face gets any flatter. Okay. Look at this. We've got some fashion feedback here. I don't know which one of us this is referring to. Loving the 1980s retro shirt. I think we've all got fabulous tops on today, haven't we? We're very colourful. I could be.
Is that me?
I don't know which one of us that's referring to. I could be sat on as a deck chair with my shirt, I think. And the ladies are sporting fabulous tops today. So I'm not sure there, Pete. But this is fantastic. 7:30 then. That'll be tomorrow night, won't it? Because you just imagine, it's one of these things where it's worth thinking again, isn't it? Because you imagine, I can't afford that. That is the lifestyle of the rich and famous. When in fact, if enough people get together, it brings the cost down, doesn't it? It makes it manageable.
It does. And if you think about it, it's a one-time investment. And like I said, I'm very emotionally attached to my animals. So
Yeah.
I could see why somebody would say, look, this is a one-time investment. I'm bringing my dog across the world.
Yeah.
And I want my dog to be safe. My dog's older, my dog's large. I don't feel safe in a crate in the bottom of a plane. It makes sense.
It really does. Now, the other part of this, of course, is people as well. Well, before I go into any more about this, Raquel, what do you think? As this as a business idea, this is a development, isn't it, for people coming over to Portugal?
Oh, bless you. It's a great idea. I've had. I'm an animal lover as well. I mean, now I only have my cat. I used to have a dog who passed away last year. Unfortunately, it was a 10-year-old golden retriever. He was a
Oh,
big guy. I never had to fly anywhere with him. We drove around a lot, and he was great in the car. But it can be a worry for sure, and in the heat and all of that. So I don't think I would ever even imagine to fly my dog anywhere unless it's a change of life because you're moving to another country. It has to happen, but it would be quite a worrisome time for me. So I would definitely take this choice if I had to, and I would save up somewhere else, and I would give him the comfort of the trip for sure.
that's superb. So tune in tomorrow and sign up at Expats Portugal, incidentally, using the link on the screen now. The other thing I was going to ask, and I have been calmed here by James, no, Carl, only flat-faced people with inherent breathing problems will not be able to fly. Okay, that's a relief. Thank you very much, James. People have stuff that they're bringing from the United States. Some people, to avoid the what can be the considerable cost of shipping, and then all the logistics that go with it, with taxation and things going missing or getting damaged or whatever. Some people decide to bring all their stuff with them when they fly, like pare it down. And I've seen amazing pictures of people arriving at Lisbon Airport with what they've got left of their belongings on maybe 4 trolleys. Is this a way to bring belongings as well as pets to Portugal? Could this be used in the same way, Jackie?
One of the things I appreciate when Jerry does a consultation for our premium members is he gives them another way to look at your belongings.
Mm.
Is it worth it to bring a bed from the US, pay for a container, do all that when you could buy that bed here?
Yeah.
At a fraction of the cost. And even in terms of looking, and I was thinking, if you just do the math, what would it cost you to maybe bring an animal from the US to Lisbon? It's probably $5,000.
Mm.
Now, this probably is going to cost about $11,000, but think about it, for another $6,000, you're flying, you have peace of mind, and is sick. If it's in your budget, I mean, we all have different budgets, but if $6,000 differential isn't going to make a huge cost, $6,000 might be worth your peace of mind, knowing your pet is safe. And now you get to fly in this very exclusive manner, where you have a comfortable seat and there's only 6 other people and you're being served champagne. To me, it actually makes sense.
I might just do it without the pets. But the hold is empty, isn't it? If the pets are up top, then presumably there's space to bring your stuff, and you won't have to go into the shipping.
I'm sorry, you're probably hearing my dogs enter my house right now.
Totally appropriate. It's totally appropriate on this call.
You could hear them. You could hear because one of them's a flat-faced dog, and you could hear her breathing. I think that since it's a smaller plane, I don't know how large the hold is. I did ask him that question. I think it's not really any different than when you fly commercially, what you can bring.
Okay.
I
see. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. That's me just trying to squeeze in a bit more value there. So we've got, what's this? 4 trolleys, says James. I guess I really did pare it all down. Check-in, 1 check-in suitcase, 1 carry-on, and 1 backpack. That's amazing, isn't it? That must have felt brilliant coming into Portugal with that little stuff. Furniture in Portugal is both expensive and uncomfortable. And difficult to find, says Pete. We bought all ours from the UK and we're glad to have done so. That's another option then, Pete. There's a little business idea. You can talk to Raquel later about how to start up that business, importing furniture from the UK for Americans who might prefer that as well. So that's what we've got then. Tomorrow night, 7:30. That's the webinar tomorrow night, the Portugal Calling webinar with Expats Portugal. I'll be there to host that. and talk to Adam, the proprietor of the company, and find out more about that. Sipping champagne while your pet is on your lap. Of course, if it's a small dog and not a Great Dane or St. Bernard. And how that all works with Adam tomorrow. And then, of course, the Dream Team session, the rock and roll of migration, Jackie, from 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Always have a lot of fun with the Dream Team. Usual formula, I think, tomorrow night, taking questions, quick fire questions from an audience of people from around the world. I mean, that's a great thing, isn't it? We're hearing from people all over the world. Anything else to add about our fun evening coming up tomorrow night?
I think I think it's going to be really informative, even if it's not something you're considering and you are moving. I think considering how to transport your animals really, really an important concern. Mm-hmm. And at least get you started on what your options are. Yeah. So if this is something important to you, whether you think this is in your wheelhouse to, spend this kind of money, it's a really good way to start thinking about this issue.
Hold on a minute. There she goes again. In my wheelhouse. What is that? You were talking about from the soup to the nuts last week, and now you're talking about my wheelhouse. I didn't even know I got one. What does that mean?
That's actually somebody much smarter than me is going to explain the genesis of that comment. Right. But how I understand it is if it's something that is in your frame, your life frame, like what's in your wheelhouse is what are your abilities, what are your capabilities, what are your options, what are your opportunities.
Okay.
So
thank you.
That's how I've always understood it.
Learning every day.
Gonna use that.
Yeah, I'm going to be using my wheelhouse later. Don't worry. So
it's interesting. You learn all these, like Jerry was at, and he's our big boss at Expats Portugal. He used an expression I had never heard, and I felt so proud. I think it was called smash. He said, if it smashes or something like that, which I think means if it overwhelms. Right. I don't know. And I had never heard this. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't even know what you're referring to. So I'm learning new expressions.
Smashing the like button. It sounds very aggressive, doesn't it? But it's, I think let's smash it, I suppose. It does sound a bit British, doesn't it? Smashing Jeeves. Like that. Smash the like button.
Smash that button. Okay.
Yes. Well, Jackie, thank you. Always fun talking to you. Raquel, always fun talking to you. Are either of you off to the AL March? Apparently, 650 odd people are heading to, is it to the capital possibly to protest? Yeah, it's the Assembleia da República today. The AL license is up before the Assembly, isn't it? And there are a few protesters will be outside there. So that's big news for some people. How significant do you think that is, Raquel?
Phew, it's huge. It's huge because the way the market is right now, a lot of people are trying to get AL licensing. And it's getting difficult, and many of them are suspended. And it doesn't make any sense to, there's, of course, limitations. I think we should be respectful of neighbors and condominiums and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it is, if there's a need for it, you shouldn't have limitations. So.
Yeah, right. So a worthwhile protest today outside the Assembly of the Republic, where those people wanting to keep the alojamento local licensing pretty similar to how it is now, rather than having this execution, as it were, of a number of AL licenses and some rather draconian terms and conditions around it. Hopefully that won't go any further for those people with skin in that game. Good luck to them today, and have a beautiful day, both of you as well. Jackie, thank you very much. We never found out which one of us has got the 80s shirt. I think we all apply.
I think it was
I'm 50. I'm 1950s more than 80s.
Maybe a bit. There's vintage, there's retro, and there's deck chair going on the screen this morning. So thank you. It's lovely to hang out with you this morning. We'll see you again next Wednesday, Jackie. See you tomorrow night on the webinar and the Dream Team. And Raquel, see you next month. Your business guide, of course, can be downloaded from Learn About Portugal. Here, have a nice big round of applause. Ciao, ciao. There they go. We have Raquel and Jackie there. Oh, wonderful to hang out. And what a beautiful visual display of vintage and retro apparel. Yes, apparel from their wheelhouses. Or no, from their wardrobes. The wheelhouse is different. In baseball, the wheelhouse refers to the area. There we go. We learn so much on this, don't we? We learn about Portugal and we learn about baseball and American terms as well from the soup to the nuts last week, and this week the baseball term, the wheelhouse, refers to the area of the strike zone where a batter can easily hit the ball with great power and accuracy. I think that's what I did, wasn't it? On Sunday. Check this out. My wheelhouse, everybody. Yes, that's happening every month. That was the charity match. I think Mrs. M played that on Monday when I was in Lisbon on the water. Did I tell you about that? And that is happening. That was the charity match at Caldas Durania Rugby Club, where they made us feel very welcome. And monthly in Obidos, you can play rounders as well if you'd like to come up to the Silver Coast for that. Thank you, James. Jim, thank you for that, for telling us about what the wheelhouse refers to. From the Jim to the James, this was the clock that we were meant to share with Raquel, but I'm going to forward that on to her. I'm going to do that now before I forget. Oh, you've got a couple for us there. So that is being forwarded to Raquel there. Thank you very much. I think that's a useful reminder to us all. It is, whatever the time might be, it is always now, is it not? So thank you very much. Forwarding that on now. A beautiful bit of service to the community there. Thank you very much, James. And in the last remaining minutes, 13 or thereabouts, I want to take you to this Poor Data Portugal, portrait of Portugal. There's some interesting stuff in here. We'll have a little flick through. I think you'll probably want to do this at your leisure. And so I'm going to... Actually, I wasn't very well prepared. Are you ever, Carl? I WhatsApp myself the links, and there were a lot yesterday, so I need to find it now. Is that it? No. What's that though? Oh, that's for Bugio. That was yesterday's quiz question, wasn't it? For Bugio. Poor Data. There we go. This is the ebook that I am going to open up in front of your very eyes now and mine. If that's, of course, if the link will open. Okay, copy link, and let me open it in the right place, and we'll have a look at this portrait of Portugal together on the screen when I share it there. And we might do a little bit of weather if we get the time to. So take that off there and then share to the screen this fabulous ebook, the Portrait of Portugal. And as I said before, this takes you back to 2020, which of course will have been the most recent version, I'm guessing, of the data from Poor Data, which is a really good source of information about Portugal. There you go, Poor Data 2020 edition. Oh, I feel a bit naked. I've got to put me bunting back on as well. Low hanging bunting. There you go. Hopefully that doesn't get in the way too much of what I'm about to show you. Let's click through to the first page, and I think that is right. That is Santa Apollinia Station, Portrait of Portugal. The backstory, the context, summary of indicators regarding Portuguese society from 1960. So that's a pretty good time frame, isn't it? Wherever possible to the present day. The most recent figures are of particular interest, say Poor Data. These figures chronicle our contemporary history. That's why I think it's interesting. And you'll have such things in here as population, living conditions and household income, education, health, social protection, justice and security, government accounts. Oh, that should be interesting. Is the blue bag in there? Macroeconomics, employment and labor market, enterprises, environment, energy and territory, science and technology in there as well. Somebody took me to task because I did one of these, didn't I, a few weeks ago, talking about demographics of Portugal. And they said, what about GDP? Well, you can find out about GDP in this very publication, the link to which I will put in the comments. Don't forget, the dad jokes are coming up before we go today as well. Should have shared them, shouldn't I, with Jackie and Raquel this morning. Anyway, let's have a look at the headline data then. Resident population as of 2019, most recent figures, 10 million, nearly 10,300,000 thereabouts. Just going to cough. I'm not coughing because of the population. That's the figure I tend to refer to. So glad to see I'm about right there at 10 million, roughly speaking, 300,000. Private households. Of that 10 million population, there are 4,140,000, I'm going to round these off, 148,000 private households. And of that 10,300,000 population, there are nearly 6 million, 5,954,500 dwellings. That was at 2018. Enrolled students, look at that. A fifth of the population are enrolled students. I'm guessing that's of all student age, including the kids. Active population, half of the 10 million active population. What does that mean? I guess that's the working population within the 10 million, pretty much half there. Pensions, 3 million pensions. And that's this slightly worrisome ticking time bomb of demographics, isn't it? An aging population, as we might discover as we work our way through this. I'm not going to go through the whole book, but we'll just pick on things that you or I might find interesting here. Yes, pensions, 3,600,000 of those. Half of the population is active, and not as many kids are being born here. That's one of the standout things for me, is the family atmosphere, vibe that we love about Portugal is going to change. It is going to change. People aren't having as many kids. People are having kids later. So what we appreciate, many of us, about the family atmosphere of Portugal, I think it'd be too dramatic to say it's under threat, but it's going to change the way things are going. In the 10 million population, enterprises stand at nearly 1.3 million enterprises, and your GDP, for that person who asked about it on YouTube, is at would that be 2 billion? 212,302.8 millions. Now, it's when you get to numbers like that, the only useful thing is a comparison, which I don't have, incidentally. So if anyone wants to tell me how the GDP of Portugal compares to other countries, that would be most useful. I mean, that stat alone doesn't really tell you that much, of course, unless you're an economist. And if you are, can you explain what's going on in the world at the moment? Probably not. And it could get eggy if we bring in another economist. So can anyone do a comparison on that GDP figure? Let's go into the book and have a look at population then. Also in the ebook are culture and sports, electoral participation, tourism, transport, and agriculture and fishing. Do let me know if there's anything of particular interest you'd like me to flick through to. And as I said, I will put the link into the comments so that you can see this for yourself. If you're interested in Portugal at all, this is interesting data for sure. Resident population, as we've said, 10 million, just under 10,300,000 there. Active age between 15 and 64 is 64% at the moment, and people under 15 make up 14% of the population, and the elderly age 65 or over are currently at 22%. And I think that figure, as it is in many societies, is rising. With fewer youngsters being born, and we have a little bit of a depopulation time bomb, if that's not a contradiction in terms, happening across the world, don't we? Far from the idea that we're going to be horribly overpopulated, which we might be, to be fair, for a short time. I believe that we are going to be lacking people, and the trend will be downward when it comes to new humans being born around the world. Okay, back to that report then, the portrait of Portugal. Aging index, elderly per 100 young people. There you go, 161. So that's spiking way up from the 60s, where it was very different. And that would have been around 25 per 100 young people. Now it's 161. That's a pretty staggering stat, is it not? Natural increase is that in population? I think it is, isn't it? Minus 25,000. So a net decrease in population here in Portugal. One reason why the Portuguese might be thankful for new people coming in. And net migration, immigrants, 45,000 in the positive there. Permanent emigrants, that'll be people moving out of Portugal, standing at 28,219. And permanent immigrants, on the other hand, a plus figure of 72,725 at the time of the data 2020 edition, the latest figures. Foreign population then, that's us mainly here listening to the show. Foreign population in total resident population is currently at 6%. I have rounded that up, possibly a little bit too much broad brush in saying that 1 in 10 people is a foreigner, but that could be 1 in 11, 1 in 12, couldn't it? If you did do the maths, which I can't do right now in my head, but 6%. Acquisition of Portuguese nationality. That will be around 9,500 for fellas and nearly 12,000 women. Live births and deaths, as you can see on the screen there. Interestingly, look, the total fertility rate is dropping. The average number of children per woman, 1.42. Look at that. In 1960, it was on average 3 kids, just over 3. Took a dip to its position now at its lowest by the look at. No, there was a dip around 2010. That probably is, isn't it? There, currently 1.5 children, you might say. Interesting. Halved since 1960. Oh, born out of. I'm trying to scroll down the screen, and each time I do that, it turns the page. This is a nice turn of phrase, isn't it? Born out of wedlock. 57% of total live births are out of wedlock. Back in the day, 1960, it would have been 10%. And I imagine a different kind of stigma altogether. It's now 57% born out of wedlock, the B word, and 38% with parents cohabiting, 18% of a single parent, or what would that be? Parents not cohabiting, 18% there. So onward. I think we're only going to get through population today. We might have to revisit this document, or you can take a look for yourself. Live births with half brothers. I'm not sure what that means. Infant mortality rate, thankfully, way down. My goodness, 1960, it was, in the 60s, it was going towards 90%. Is that right? And way down to 2.8%, thankfully, here in Portugal, current data 2019. Marriages, if you're looking at civil marriages, they've stayed around the 20 grand, 22,404 civil marriages in 2019. Catholic marriages, 10,037. But the Catholic marriages have dropped from 50,000 in 1960 to what looks like their lowest ever at 10,000 in 2019. And households, how many households do you think there are in that 10,300,000 population? Well, there are 4,148,000, and that's gone up since 1992, presumably when those first figures were recorded. Let's just conclude on population. We can always come back to this as a little bit of a look into, or the portrait of Portugal, as poor data call it. Single parents then, men would number 67,776 and women at 391,568. Those are going up, those trends, although male single parents are pretty, they are up, but they're sort of fairly flat line since 1902, but the women way up from under 200,000 to nearly 400,000. Couples with children, 1,400,000. Couples without children, just over 1 million. And single person households, interestingly, I think, in a nation of 10 million, single person households are now at 934,000. So the concern about loneliness among people, and whether that statistic relates to it or not, it would appear to me anyway. 55% single person households aged 65 or older. Is that, I guess that will be, so over half of that nearly million single person households are of people aged 65 or older. Don't know about you, but I find this fascinating. I really do. Poor data, and they're linked to that portrait of Portugal right there on your screen now. Interesting, a term I never considered before, wedlock. Doesn't sound, it doesn't, does it, when you put it like that? They're not referring to it as loving coupledom or shmushy marriage or anything like that. Wedlock, click. Portugal ranked 48th largest economy. So there you go. Thank you very much, Squire of the Shire. Spain is 14th at 1.4 trillion, but also has higher consumer price inflation and a whole lot more people. 4 or 5 times the population as well to be creating all that GDP. 6% in 2020 could be closer to 10% now. That's right. Yeah, fair enough. Fair play. There has been an influx of foreigners, so we could be going to that 1 in 10 figure that I mentioned earlier. And Bob, good morning to you. Great to see you here, Bob. We have, what's this? The Natuzzi collection. Is that, are we talking about furniture again? We probably are. That's part of GDP, though. If you buy it in UK, it's not, Peter. From Old English Wedlach, wedding vow, James. And I think, yeah, locking to each other might have been seen as perhaps a more pleasant idea. A bit like mortgage, though, isn't it? Grip of death. I mean, imagine that. You're wedlocked and mortgaged. It doesn't sound like a particularly pleasant proposition. And maybe that's why there are so many single participant households, for want of a better way of expressing it. I thought that was interesting. Hope you did too. We're just after 10 o'clock, which leaves a little bit of time for some dad jokes. So it's a bit like tickling yourself, isn't it? Although it is T-Duck saying these, so I'm not making these jokes up. I haven't heard them before. So I'll check my own response to these. You're old when you get a "you still up" text at 8:25 p.m. And you're really old when you've sent it to yourself as well. Thank you very much. I hate when I try to order a salad and my mouth says, "I'll have a double quarter pounder with cheese." Mrs. M laughing as she comes into the room. With bacon, Mrs. M? Yes, with your bacon too. And I recently bought a toilet brush. Long story short, I'm going back to toilet paper. Look, I've got a new organic toilet brush with me here. Only kidding. Look, everybody, it's a kitten. Oh, are you going to scratch my face live on live on a live stream? Meet. This is which one's this? Is Sebastian, isn't it? You can leave Baz here. We're just about to finish. As people are going, oh. Last few comments then. Quite distracted this morning. Aren't we all, Joel de Nort? Just got my breakfast too. Dad, another dad joke coming in. Fantastic. It's a dad joke starting with Dad. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Ouch, that cat is scratching me. And it's putting its bottom in my face. Let's see. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the cat on the desk and see where it gravitates, which keyboard, which mixing desk it gravitates towards, and see if little Sebastian here will play the sound effects board, which he has been doing recently. Dad, why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. And maybe at first, permanent lip lock, not so much. What's that? Oh, permanent lip lock. Ow! There's my tea towel holder right there. I'm dressed in a tea towel, so why shouldn't I have a tea towel holder? You've been excellent. We'll see you at the meetup, maybe, where I think we'll have a little bit of a dip later. We might go along to Salio de Porto to have a contrast if we do a bit of filming to answer that question. Which is best, or SMDP versus SDP? Careful it doesn't attack. Oh, the dead cat. This one here. Careful it doesn't attack the mic shield. And, oh dear, there's a cat moving behind the screens now. We should stay on air for a little bit longer to see which cable it chews through. Well, what's it doing behind? Oh, no, it's not, is it? No. Okay. I only looked because so many words come from medieval English, like threshold. That's probably to do with threshing, is it not? So maybe we'll have a special with Bob Wenger. Bob Wenger's medieval English presentation, everybody. Let's do that, Bob. Have a great day up there in the north. Have a great day in central. Have a great day in the south. Whatever you're doing, have a great day. And we shall see you tomorrow morning. I forget now. No, I can't leave without, because we need to see what else these kittens get up to. I need to tell you what's happening tomorrow. I told you what's happening on Friday. We've got Bobby. We've got Phil. Here we go. The cat is on the mixing desk now. Oh, of course. It's Carl Hyde who was in earlier on. The cat is now sleeping on the mixing desk. Carl Hyde and Veronica tomorrow. And we'll get them to share some property with us as part of our new Ask Our Agent initiative for people buying, selling, renting, or letting. Look up here. wonder if can I tilt that camera right down, maybe. So that's Thursday, and we'll see you then. No, do not do that, Mrs. M. You're as naughty as a cat in the studio when you grab stuff in the studio. I've got software for doing that. There we go. No, that's not going to work, is it? But the cat is. Oh, it's the cat is seeing the other cat on the screen, and I've got to take a video, which I'll put on our YouTube channel. This is so sweet, isn't it? Bear with us. If you're not a cat fan, you're going to be hating this, which used to be me, but not anymore. Right. And action, cat. Let's see what you're doing. We've got the cat messing about, seeing things. Watching the Good Morning Portugal show there. Look at that. trying to scratch me on screen as if in real life isn't enough. Sebastian, do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Ciao, everybody. Have a great day. Take care, and bye for now.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.